Hello, and welcome to 5-Minute Math. Today we are looking at the 8th grade concept of identifying functions. This is standard 8.5G in the great state of Texas, and we are using item number 36 off the 2022 released STAAR test. If you have not done so already, please go ahead and take a moment to pause the video, work this problem out on your own, unpause it, and we will look at our answers together. So we have 4 sets of ordered pairs, and apparently just one of them represents y as a function of x. So let's say you don't know what that means, especially this keyword function. It's not on the mathematics chart. What kind of strategies could we use to try to solve this? Because all we know is that we should be looking at the x's and the y's. And so let's see if we can figure out something that makes one of these answer selections look different. Then I'll tell you what y as a function of x means. We'll see how we can solve it either way. So if I'm looking at my y's, for f, I see square root of 17, square root of 6, square root of 3, square root of 10. I notice they're all square roots. But I've got square roots in other ones. That might not be it. Look at my x's. I've got 4, 2, 1, 1. They're not square roots, but I did notice that I repeated 1 and 1. All right, so let's look at G. So my y's first, I've got 2.9, 5.9, 8.9, 11.9. So they're all decimals, whereas in F they were all square roots. Don't know if that has anything to do with it. Let's check my x's. I've got -7, -15, -15, -7. Okay, interesting. I've got 2 repeats. The -15s and the -7s are repeating on the x's. So far, I'm repeating x's on the F and the G. Let's check the H. My y's, 7, 4, 5, 7. I do repeat these 7s. Then I've got 11.1, 5.1, 12.1, and 6.1. So I don't have a repeat on the x, but I do have a repeat on the y. And then let's check J. -3, -4, -5, -7. No repeats. I've got square root of 1, square root 2, square root 1, square root 6. I've got a repeat here. So they all 4 have repeats. The interesting thing about H is that it's got a repeat with the y. Everything else has got to repeat with the x. So if I'm looking for one that's different, right? H is different because it doesn't repeat any x's, whereas the other 3 do. So that's about all we can figure out if we don't know what y as a function of x means. But what that means is if you have y as a function of x, each x leads to one y. That's what it means if you have a function. If y is a function of x, each time you have an x, it leads to one y. One y. So take a look at the problem with f. I've got an x of 1, and it leads to square root of 3. I've got an x of 1, and it leads to square root of 10. So I've got 1x that leads to 2 y's. So that's not going to work. Look at G. I've got these x's, -15, and -15 leads to either 5.9 or 8.9. So 1x leads to 2 y's. Same thing with the -7s. My -7 leads to both 2.9 and 11.9. So it's not going to be that. With H, even though I repeat the y's, that's fine. Does each x lead to 1 y? Yes, 11.1, 5.1, 12.1, 6.1, they all lead to 1 y. Even though these y's repeat, I'm not so worried about that. I want each x to lead to 1 y. See what's wrong with J. My square root 1 leads to both -3 and to -5. So that's why when you repeat the x's, that means it's not a function, because each x needs to lead to just 1 y. My answer here is going to be H.